So you guys, you saw my video where I talked about vegan versus raw vegan, and today I'm going into more detail about high raw vegan, and I talked about it a little bit in this video, so check it out. But today I'm bringing the expert. Yes, I am. It's my coach, the person who really helped me turn over a new leaf with this raw vegan lifestyle. So after working with him for 12 weeks, high raw vegan was definitely my thing, and so I stick with it, and I'm going to share him with you today so that we can find out in more detail what this high raw vegan lifestyle is all about. By the way, I'm Callie girl. I'm a high raw vegan, a digital nomad, and an avid solo traveler currently living here in Panama. So if you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I hope you enjoy the positivity that I have to share today. And don't forget to hit the subscribe if you like my vibe. Yes. And for those who are returning, bish, welcome back. So with no further ado, here we go. Hey, you guys, Callie girl here, and we're talking about raw vegan, specifically high raw vegan. So I had to bring on an expert to break it down for you. And my guest today is also my coach that I'm always bragging about. So introduce yourself, coach.
All right, how's you doing? Remsen at 𝐿𝐵𝐿, head coach at 𝐿𝐵𝐿, high raw vegan nutritionist and fitness coach.
So yeah, so break it down. Like when I first changed to a vegan diet, I was really in search for like, how am I going to navigate this thing? Because my whole goal was to be health conscious. So I dove right in, went cold turkey, high raw vegan for the first 90 days because I had some health issues and mainly high blood pressure. That was my main thing. And so I stumbled across your YouTube channel. You were debunking some serious myths that these doctors were putting out about having a vegan diet. They're making it seem like you're going to be deficient. And so I was nervous. And so I reached out. The best call that I ever made was to get your coaching. And so what exactly is the high raw vegan diet? And can you just break it down for us in more detail?
Yeah, there you go. So basically, I take more of the high raw fruitarian approach, right? Where the overwhelming majority of your food is raw. So for example, let's say you eat 3 meals a day, 2.5 of them would be raw, or maybe even all 3, but maybe that third meal will have 1 cooked food in it, right? So you may have a salad with raw cucumbers, leafy greens, leeks, or diced red onion, bell pepper, all that type of stuff is raw. But the only thing that would be cooked is like maybe some chickpeas or black beans or something like this, right? So basically the overwhelming majority of the food is raw, right? And the purpose of something like that is basically just to avoid the denaturing of the food. So when you put something through a cooking process, as you cook it, it breaks down. So the point of the cooking is to basically make the food edible, where you're breaking down the cell wall so that it's easier for your gut to pull nutrients from the food. But with anything, the more you do it, the less of a return you get. You get diminishing returns. So the more you cook a food, the more denatured it gets, and then you actually start to lose the nutrients in the food.
Okay, so then some food should be cooked and some shouldn't. Is that true?
Yeah, the purpose of cooking plant-based foods is so that they're edible. You just need to break down the cell wall so that your gut can actually extract nutrients from that food. It's the purpose of it.
Foods like lentils and beans, you were saying, but fruits and vegetables, you really technically don't have to cook any of those, right?
No, you don't have to cook most fruits.
Okay.
There are some exceptions, butternut squash, okay. Right? Uh-huh. Something that's like super rock solid hard, right? Pumpkin, maybe you'd want to cook that, right? But for the most part, like tree fruits, you don't really have to cook those or anything like that. You can just eat them raw.
Oh, so we're ruining our foods. And to me, I've heard the concept is that we're just breaking down the enzymes that our body really should be using for the purposes of digestion. And so then without the enzymes in the food, our body has to sort of rev up its own enzymes to help digest that stuff. So what are some of the potential health benefits for a person like switching from maybe a standard American diet to this high raw vegan diet?
I mean, pretty much all the benefits. I mean, you improve hormonal balance, blood pressure, blood flow, blood oxygenation, blood sugar, liver functionality. You improve your kidney functionality, reduce creatinine, bun, improve your eGFR for anybody who maybe dealing with some kidney disease, if you look at your blood test results, under your kidneys, you'll know what I'm talking about. You'll see some of those terms there, right? Improving your cholesterol profile, so raising HDL, lowering LDL, right? So that you can even out your total cholesterol. Have a more proportionate balance between free testosterone, total testosterone, estrogen to progesterone ratio, improving thyroid function, right? So basically bringing your thyroid stimulating hormone and T3 and T4 into balance, where there's not like this overproduction of TSH, which is thyroid stimulating hormone, and then you have this high production of T4 and then low T3, right? Which if you're dealing with like hypothyroidism or something like this, you may be experiencing something like that, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just benefits straight across the board. There really isn't any downsides at all, right? So I work with people who have a lot of different chronic illnesses, metabolic disorders, and things like this. So it's a really good regulatory approach.
Okay, so Big Farm has us all scared, like we're going to be B12 deficient and protein deficient. Can you just debunk that idea as far as like relating to a person who wants to go vegan?
Yeah, so protein deficiency isn't really a real thing. The only way you can become protein deficient is if you just don't eat enough, right? You're just chronically underfed. When people talk about protein, you have carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, right? So you have carbohydrates and fats, which are predominantly made out of hydrogen and carbon bound together, right? So it's a combination of oxygen, water, and carbon elements combined together. With protein, it's a bit different, right? It's hydrogen, carbon, and nitrogen, right? So it's that extra molecule of nitrogen that makes it the protein, right? But essentially, when you eat these things, they all break down into their simplest forms: glucose, lipids, amino acids, and things like this, right? And then even when you eat protein, that gets disassembled, right? So basically, you get the nitrogen separated from the carbon and this type of thing. So people overconsume protein. So when they overconsume protein, there's all this extra nitrogen left over that just gets excreted from your body through your kidneys. So you put a lot of stress and work on your kidneys as a result, right? But your body makes its own proteins from the amino acids that come from your food. There is no such thing as food that doesn't contain protein. Protein is necessary in order for a food to maintain its molecular structure, right? Even us as human beings, our muscle, the actual muscle itself is only like 24% protein, right? 24%. And then out of that 24% protein, muscle mass is only 16% nitrogen. So basically, it's a very minuscule amount of your actual muscle mass that comes from nitrogen. So people significantly and extremely overestimate the need for dietary protein. It's important, yes, that's absolutely true. But people overestimate the importance of how much they actually need. You don't really need that much. Muscle mass is actually like 76% water, right? The significance of that, and then 18% is carbon. All right, so remember what I talked about with the carbohydrates, fats, and protein, they break down into hydrogen, carbon, and nitrogen, right? So basically, when you consume carbohydrates, the carbohydrates break down into glucose, right? Glucose binds to water at a 3-to-1 ratio, right? So for every molecule, so glucose basically gets stored inside muscle tissue as glycogen, and glycogen is a cluster of glucose molecules. And so for every gram of glucose that you store inside your muscle tissue, it's 3 molecules. Well, every molecule of glucose, you get 3 molecules of water, right? Just to make it more of a simpler thing. I don't want to get too complex, but the reason why I'm talking about the whole breakdown of the molecular structure is to kind of paint a picture of how small of a percentage is actually coming from what we call protein, which we're really talking about the nitrogen. So the most important thing in order to grow muscle mass, to maintain muscle mass, is glucose, basically sugar coming from carbohydrates. Because you need that as a mechanism to hydrate the muscle, right? That is that water that makes up the 76%, right? So the most important thing, what people are worried about protein deficiency, they end up having glucose deficiency, really. They end up having water deficiency.
Yeah, I think that was me when I first met you. I was coming off the couple years ketogenic, so I had pretty much wasn't eating a lot of fruits because I'm like, I got to keep my carbs down. I didn't really understand the entire concept. And yes, I lost weight, but then you reminded me there's a tax at the end of that diet. And my tax was that my glucose metabolism was shot. So I feel like working with you, it took a long time to get my body back, processing those things. And now I feel like I'm kind of soaring. But yeah, that was definitely not a good experience, or something that I wish I knew a little bit more about before I embarked on that lifestyle for so long. But yeah, so it's intimidating for people who cook their food. It's weird. So to go raw, it's like, what, you just eat salad or whatever. Like, what's a general, a simple meal that's, that someone who's used to cooking food can consume that feels filling, or that feels legitimate for them to switch over to and start to consume as a regular every week diet?
It's a really good one. If you have, let's say, for example, 2 to 3 pounds, or I would say 2 to maybe 2.5 pounds of melon. Any kind of melon, cantaloupe, honeydew, watermelon, whatever the case is, with an ounce of pumpkin seed kernels or sunflower seed kernels or something like this.
Okay. So that's right? Giving them all that's all the nutrients they would need in a full meal.
Mm-hmm. And that's basically around 500 calories or something like this. It's, let's say, it depends on the melon you eat, but let's say, for example, if you ate a whole cantaloupe, one whole cantaloupe, 2-pound cantaloupe. And when I say 2 pounds, I mean without the rind, right? Just the flesh, right? So 2 pounds of the meat of the melon. And that already out there is in between 9 and 11 grams of protein. And then the ounce of the seeds is another, 5-6 grams, right? So you're already getting around 16-15 grams of protein alone with that. And then as far as the carbohydrates is concerned, that 2 pounds of cantaloupe or something is 86 grams of carbs, something like this. And then 1 or 1.5 grams of fat from the melon, and then another maybe in between 16 to 20 grams of fat.
Okay.
Right?
So I don't want people to get it twisted. What you're talking about, and I know your background, but can you just give us a little bit of rundown? Why are you qualified to even be speaking about this?
Well, so basically I'm 38. I've been coaching since 18 years old. I've been fully plant-based since 14 years old. I have an extensive background in chronic illness reversal, diabetes, high blood pressure, lowering cholesterol, reversing kidney disease, fatty liver disease, hormonal imbalances Graves', Hashimoto's, things like this. Reversing PCOS, helping women gain back a menstrual cycle, right? Saved people from unnecessary surgeries getting their gallbladder removed or uterus removed, or getting an ovary removed because of a cyst built up on the ovary. Reversing autoimmune disease. So I've had a lot of success with lupus, Guillain-Barré, Crohn's, colitis, diverticulitis. Various forms of leaky gut. Leaky gut is an umbrella term for basically, chronic gut damage. What else? MS, right? That's another one that I've had a lot of success with reversing, And then, of course, the weight loss and muscle building and things like that, right?
Yes.
So yeah, basically high raw vegan nutritionist, sports performance, corrective exercise, strength and conditioning, right? So these are my areas that are my wheelhouse, so to speak.
Okay, so yeah, just go ahead and roll into, when we make a call with you, there's different services that you offer. You kind of comprise a whole plan, not just eat this, eat that. You kind of tell us how to work out. You sort of assess each person. So what's the person going to benefit by calling you? What are they going to receive in exchange for your services?
Yeah, so the calls, we get pretty deep, right? So it is a bit of an individualized approach. basically people can go on my site, whether it be tribebinaural.com or tribebinaural.tv. I actually have two. Either one works. You book a 60-minute call. You pick the day and time that you want. And we have a video chat. We meet face to face. And basically we dive into your background, what your biggest struggles are, what your lifestyle habits are like, things like that. So what's your sleep quality? How many meals a day do you eat? How much weight have you gained or lost within the last 12 weeks? What food sensitivities do you have? What medications are you on? What have you tried? What strategy? What is the longest held strategy that you have tried? This type of thing, right? So basically getting into all these different lifestyle details and things and try to build up like a profile of your life to see what are the patterns and what are the gaps that need to be filled in order to turn things around for you or get you the results that you want, right? So that's pretty much how I go about it. We talk about food choice and, supplementation, herbs, and things like this.
You guys, best 60-minute call I ever booked, no doubt, because I feel like 6 weeks later, after 25 years of being on high blood pressure medications, no mas. So my dude got me going. And I was scared. I think I was telling you, I got off the first med before I had met you, and then the doctor gave me such a hard time. And so I was scared to wing myself off the second med. And you're like, okay, this is the plan. You're going to either go this way or that way. Like you almost gave me an ultimatum, like choose. Cause I was like, I'm scared to just go off of it because what if it gets high, because they've had me conditioned for 25 years that you need this or you're going to have high blood pressure and die. And so
Right.
That was really encouraging. Having a coach makes all the difference. And not just the 60-minute call. I feel like you guys, this is a process. So you really need to get into the next phase of your program, which is the tribe. So can you just give us a quick background on the entire program after we book the call with you?
Yeah, so basically, right now I have what's called a 12-week mentorship, right? And it's 3 tiers to it, right? So basically, tier number 1, we have weekly coaching calls. You get access to my courses. So this gives you like a DIY approach where I walk you through the process of developing your own diet plan, training plan, things like that. And the courses give you a blueprint of how to formulate it yourself, right? And then we do weekly calls just to check in on your progress, see what we can dial in and improve, and that kind of basically mentorship. Tier 2 is where I create your diet plan for you, right? So that's less DIY. And then everything else is included. You still have access to all the courses. The only difference, in addition to the weekly calls, is you get a custom diet plan where I make it for you. And then tier 3 is I make your diet plan and training plan for you. Right? And then we have the weekly calls and access to everything else. And then we also do weekly group coaching calls. Right? So we do that as well. And that's pretty much it. So we run it for 12 weeks and we reassess on a weekly basis, and you get significant results and improvement by the end of the 12 weeks.
Yes, you guys winning for sure. So shout out your handles where we can find you. And then definitely, I feel like one of your most important components for people really digging is to come to your YouTube channel when you're doing your lives. I love those.
Right.
I watch them every week. I'm still learning things. Every time you just open your mouth and speak, I'm in awe of the information. So give us a shout out of where we can find you on the different platforms.
Yeah, so basically tribebinaural.com, tribebinaural.tv, at tribebinaural on Instagram and TikTok. And that's pretty much where I'm the most active, right? And then I live stream on my YouTube channel every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yes. Any last minute advice for those struggling and thinking about finding another way to improve their health and wellness?
Any advice? Yeah, I think immersion is probably the top 2 thing. I think you get the most answers when you're the most focused on it, right? If you want to learn about something, you actually want to read scientific literature on something. Doing keyword-based research is really beneficial. So you learn the clinical terms for the issues that you're dealing with, and then you search those terms. So for example, let's say if you are type 2 diabetic, your major key terms are going to be things like lipotoxicity, mitochondrial disruption, insulin resistance, things like that, right? And then the second keyword would be whatever you want to know about a specific food in relation to that thing. So like, let's say you research saturated fat lipotoxicity or saturated fat insulin resistance, right? Or saturated fat mitochondrial disruption, right? So things like this. Or, you can type in an herb, like let's say, what's another one? Cinnamon insulin resistance or blood sugar control, this type of thing. Blood sugar control is kind of a loose term. There's a lot of different mixed information about that. If you can really narrow down the scientific key terms that they use in the scientific literature, then you can read the studies themselves and find out a lot of information like that. So you would hear me say something, you can actually search the term of what I'm talking about, and you can see just the literature that supports what I'm saying. Right?
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about cutting your dietary fat, in particular your saturated fat, having your fat sources mainly from poly and monounsaturated fat sources, you can look up like, oh, what's the difference between saturated fat versus polyunsaturated fat? And there's studies to that. Scientifically, in the literature, polyunsaturated fats are also abbreviated to PUFAs. Right? PUFA is an abbreviation for polyunsaturated fat. So or polyunsaturated fatty acids, right? So you can look up PUFAs, mitochondria. Mitochondria, basically the insulin producing organelles of your cells, right? So yeah, I mean, do the reading, right? You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to look at just random YouTubers. Right? You can read the studies for themselves. So that's what I mean about the immersion, right? Where you really can collect that data and then begin to aggregate that data and organize it, right? Now the thing is that, look, this is not like a short-term task. This is more so going to be a form of data collection over a prolonged period of time. But if you're serious about reaching peak health, and knowledge is power, education is key. So you got to get immersed into it and dig into it. And then, of course, if you don't have the time, it's just too much. You have too much on your plate. Well, that's where somebody like me comes in.
Yes. Do your research, you guys. If not, book a call with Mr. Try by Noor. You could only be winning from there. And then thanks for watching this video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share so YouTube knows to circulate this video, because people need to know this information. Thank you so much, Coach, for taking time to come on here with me. I got a million more questions, but I won't keep you because I know you're just super busy. So you guys, there you have it. You need to make that call with Remsen of Try by Noor and change your life forever. I've experienced the benefits, and you need to experience the benefits too. I recommend it. So if you haven't already, go ahead and smash the like button, hit the subscribe, and tap the notification bell, because I have so much more to share and I don't want you to miss it. Thanks so much for watching today, you guys. I thrive, you thrive, we thrive together. I'm Cali Girl, and it's my plant-based lifestyle. Deuces. Yes.